It's husband versus wife with my new Australian friends Michael and Sarah from the It's a Duck Blur podcast, facing off in 20 questions on Ducktales. This is Trivia with Buds. And welcome to another episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Budds. Thank you so much for checking out another episode of this show. Or maybe you're checking it out for the very first time. Maybe a friend told you about it. Maybe you found it through a search on Google or on the iTunes search engine for podcasts. Wherever you found it, I am so glad you decided to put your ears on it and put your eyes on it and all of the parts of your body towards this podcast. I appreciate it. I'm your host, Ryan Budds. I am a trivia host in Southern California, originally from Chicago, living out here on the West Coast for 5 years now, just hit the 5-year mark. And I am all about things that are pop culture related. I've hosted about 1,300 trivia nights, different live events all around the country. And I am here right now to deliver you with the 60-something episode of this show. Now, this show comes in many different forms. Sometimes it's me interviewing somebody awesome from the industry. Like a couple episodes ago, we had the creator of Hey Arnold, Craig Bartlett, on to talk about bringing Hey Arnold back after 16 years with the Hey Arnold Jungle movie. Sometimes it's two friends of mine that love trivia going head to head in different topics that they're good at. Topics like Chris Farley and Netflix movies, topics like WWE and Seinfeld, or topics like Game of Thrones and Parks and Recreation. So if you like anything like TVs, movies, video games, comic books, wrestling, anything that is fun, you have come to the right place. And if you like this show, rate, review, and subscribe. It comes out every Tuesday, and I have a lot of projects in the works. I'm getting ready to do a big full-time trivia push. Like, I'll be doing the trivia company full-time, so I'll be devoting more time to podcasts, little spin-off shows, little bonus episodes, on location segments, live videos, things like that. So if you like this show, watch my social media everywhere for tons of updates coming between now and the end of the year. There might be a very special spin-off podcast in the works with my good friend Casey O'Connor based on a certain year movies came out. So there's a little teaser for you. Here's a teaser for you. I'm 32 years old today. It's my birthday proper. I was born November 7th, 1985, and here we are on November 7th, 2017. I made it to 32, 1 year past the Baskin-Robbins flavor year, which is pretty good. Someone told me recently they don't have 31 full flavors at Baskin-Robbins anymore, which sounds like false advertising. It's like Kmart getting rid of the blue light. You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm up to today. I'm working today, but I got a lot of fun stuff. I'll be hosting trivia tonight, if you're listening to this, at Craft Hill, a really cool bar and restaurant in West Covina, California. I'll be there 8 to 10 p.m., so if you want to come have a birthday drink with me, I would love to see you. Shout out to my friend Justin Sutton, who came out just last night and helped celebrate my birthday at the Moose Den in Glendale, California. And shout out to my friends Derek McClurg and Amy Eicher, who gave me some Apple TVs recently, which is really helpful for me running a trivia business. That's how I display all my slides from my device to the TV screens in these bars and meeting rooms and things. So I appreciate that. Thank you guys very much. Very, very cool of you. And thanks to my family. I got home from work last night, and my wife, we always kind of do the birthdays and Christmas and things like that. Sometimes we do them the night before, and she gives me a bunch of cool stuff. She always has, always picks out really cool gifts for me. So I got some really cool stuff for my wife. I got like a new shaving kit, one of those really cool badger tail brushes, I think they're called, and like some foam that you whip up in a little cup. So I needed that stuff. She hooked me up with that. She also got me a gift card to Target to buy some new clothing, because I was in there the other day and I'm like, ooh, this is a nice shirt. Ooh, this is a nice shirt. How about this shirt? I need some shirts. And so she hooked me up with that. And I'm kind of picky with clothes. So she said, go pick out whatever you want. So that was very cool. My mother-in-law got me a gift card as well, and she got me this really cool hot potato game to play with the kid. It's literally just the game Hot Potato, but it's like a little stuffed potato that has a song, and you throw it around, and it's tons of fun. So she got a kick out of that. I'll post a video of that on Facebook if you want to check that out this week. And my daughter got me some really cool stuff. She got me 2 wrestling figures because me and her play with wrestling action figures all the time. So she got me the Hot Rod Roddy Piper and the Nature Boy Ric Flair, and they're called Tough Talkers. So when you press the button on their back, they say their catchphrases, which is pretty sweet because the Ric Flair one says styling and profiling, woo, which is perfect. And so we got those. I got those from her, and then she got me the game Exploding Kittens, which I've been wanting to get for a really long time, and they didn't have it at Target. They had it at Target when it first came out, and then it disappeared, and I guess it must be there again. So they hooked it up, and I got all those things. So it was very cool, and they made me a chocolate cake, and my daughter picked out the toppings for it. So it was a really cool, memorable birthday eve, and special thanks to my family for all those really cool presents. I'm 32. I don't know what you do on your 32nd birthday. I don't think there's anything special. I was talking to my older brother, and he goes, I'm 42. Or no, he might be going on 43 or 44, but he goes, I'll tell you what, I couldn't tell you one thing I did when I was 32. They all kind of blend together. So I got to make this one memorable. We'll see what happens. I had a really fun weekend. I saw the new Thor movie, Thor Ragnarok. I thought it was great. Some people said it was the funniest Marvel movie and their favorite Marvel movie of all time, which I think I would disagree with. It kind of, in my head, after it was over, it was kind of lumped in with a lot of the other ones. It was very good. I really liked it. It was definitely the best Thor movie, I thought. But I don't know, Guardians and some of those Iron Mans, they're all really funny. So I didn't think it was much funnier, laugh out loud, like the best movie I've seen from the Marvel Universe. But it was definitely great, so I definitely think you should go see it. Thor Ragnarok, really, really good. I also watched an online version of Happy Death Day, which was a slasher I was pretty excited to see, and it was just okay. That got really good reviews, too. I think it got like a 70% on Rotten Tomatoes. I'll tell you this, it's a very 2001 kind of movie. It's a very, like when Scream came out, all these slasher flicks came out that were trying to be like Scream, but maybe a little bit different, like I Know What You Did Last Summer and Urban Legend and things like that. And this movie is basically Groundhog Day, but this girl keeps dying and she has to try and figure out who's killing her to make it stop, I guess. But it was not super, super well done. It was just okay. And there's a line in the movie that I have to share with you. It was just one of those lines where I'm like, somebody wrote that and somebody approved it. The girl goes, why are you looking at me like I just took a dump on your mom's face? And then they just move on with the conversation. And I'm like, wait a minute. So no one would say that. And I can't believe somebody actually wrote that down. That's like something I would say to my friend when I was 10, you know? But interesting line from Happy Death Day. I suggest you see it just for the delivery of that great quote. I am getting booked up with a bunch of holiday parties, everybody. If you like trivia in your office, if you like it for your fundraiser, your corporate thing, it's a great idea. Check out my website, triviawithbuds.com. I'm doing a big party this week. I'm super excited with Rotten Tomatoes. Yeah, the very website that I think I just mentioned in the 70% for Happy Death Day. But Rotten Tomatoes hit me up. They found me online. They must have been looking for a trivia host, and they hit me up. And I'm doing that party this Thursday, which I got to double check all my movie trivia because they're going to know it for sure. We got to make sure those details and slides don't have any typos. So that'll be fun. If you have something like that coming up, send me a message as a contact form on my website, or you can email me, ryanbudds@gmail.com. I would love to work with you creating something really, really fun. And I meet with people all the time. I'm meeting with a family this weekend. Their in-laws are celebrating their 60th anniversary or 50th, something pretty high. And they love trivia, so they want to plan out the rounds and the types of questions and all that good stuff. So anytime you want to meet, hit me up. I could do a Skype thing. I could do a text thing, whatever works for you. And we will make it happen. We are up to 71 reviews on this show on iTunes, and all those reviews help me kind of get up higher in the charts to get more eyes and ears on the show, and I am really grateful for them, and I'd love to get to 75 as a nice birthday present. So if you're thinking, how can I help this show out? How can I contribute to making this show bigger and better? That's a very easy way to do it. Just takes a couple minutes. Go on your iTunes, your podcast app, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Leave a review for Trivia with Buds. Say what you like, what you don't like, what could be improved, what you dig, all that good stuff. And leave a review and try and get me up to 75. That's my goal right now. So 4 people, give me a nice birthday gift with a review on iTunes. Here's a review from my friend and listener, Brianna Barton Shaw. She said, it's like you're in the room. She gave me 5 stars. She said, it's unlike any trivia show you've watched before. It's funny and every question is unique and selective. Buds brings in people with a connection, so it's never rigid or quiet. A constant hour of just fun and laughing. 10 out of 10, highly recommend. Thank you so much, Brianna. That was very, very nice. And again, leave those reviews. The next 4 people that leave reviews to get up to 75 will get special mail, in the mail prizes from me. I got cool stuff to send you. If you like pop culture, I have some really cool movie characters and TV characters and things like that in the form of these pop culture art squares from my friend Drew A. Blank, a great artist from the South. So that's about it for this little intro to the podcast. We're going to dive into a great episode with my new friends from Australia. I met these guys in Glendale, California. You're going to hear all about how we talked on Skype. I was Saturday when we recorded this in the U.S., and it was Sunday because of the big time change for them. So that was kind of a fun dynamic. Enjoy this episode, and before we talk to them, I have a very special segue song for you. I think if you saw the title of this episode, you're going to know what that song is. Here we go.
Life is like a hurricane here in Duckburg. Race cars, lasers, aeroplanes. It's a duck blur. Might solve a mystery or rewrite history. Ducktales, woo. Every day they're out there making Ducktales, woo. Tales of daring, do bad and Ducktales. Danger, watch behind you. There's a stranger out to find you. What to do? Just grab onto some Ducktales, woo. Every day they're out there making Ducktales, woo. Tales of daring, do bad and good Ducktales, woo. Not ponytails or cotton tails, no Ducktales, woo.
Sitting here, actually, I'm standing. This is the very first ever episode of the podcast where I'm standing up. I'm standing at a bar in my man cave, and I am doing a podcast with 2 new friends, 2 new buddies of mine. I want to say across the pond, but I think that just means the UK, right? Is that just the UK? What would be?
I think so.
You guys are in Australia, so what is that? Across the world?
I guess so.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Down under.
Bigger than a pond. What's bigger than a pond?
Bigger than a pond.
Ocean.
A small.
Ocean. We're bigger than
A small reservoir across the reservoir. There you go. Those are the voices of Michael Williams and Sarah Bass. And you guys run a podcast called It's a Duck Blur. Tell me a little bit about what that podcast is all about.
We watched every one of the 100 episodes of DuckTales and talked about it for an hour and a half.
Very
and
good.
now we're doing it. Now we're doing Darkwing Duck.
I love
the
it.
Fans demanded it.
The fans demanded it, and you guys are you're building quite the fan base. I even when you just tweet me or you tag me in something on Twitter, I'm getting all these people from around the world that are reaching out and with their little quick remarks and things. So that's cool. You guys have really built this thing up. You've been doing it for how long? About a year, year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, 2.5
2.5 years, yeah.
2.5 years. You guys are married. I should mention that you're a married couple.
We are.
I like that. And you're from Australia. And I just met you on your very first trip to the U.S. ever. And you guys happen to be at a bar that I host trivia at called the Moose Den in Glendale at 8 p.m. on a Monday, which is really cool. I've been there about a year, and we started there last year on my birthday, which was November 7th. So we're just coming up on a year next month. And you guys were there with a friend who runs a Ninja Turtles podcast.
Yeah, he actually copied our format. He started out as a fan and He worked his way into our hearts.
There you go. And then you guys were visiting him over here, and that was your first time in the U.S. What did you think of L.A. and specifically the trivia hosting in the L.A. area?
The trivia was great. I used to go to trivia weekly, but that's sort of dropped off in the last few years. So when we saw it as we were walking past, because we were having dinner at Outback Steakhouse, just a couple doors down.
Yeah.
Because, we have to see what it's like. We had to see what Americans think Australians are like. So I saw the trivia and I was like, But yeah, it was really fun. And because we ended up coming second.
Yeah, and you missed the first round or two, didn't you?
I know. We missed the first round. So I feel like if we'd been there from the start, we definitely would have won.
Right. And if you know, now that you guys have played one of my trivia nights, you guys, and I don't know that much about you, but you're the audience for my trivia. You know what I mean? There's some people that come in and they're like, "What's Die Hard?" Like they've never heard of a movie like that, or they're like, "What is a duck tail?" You know. But you guys, I could tell right away. I'm like, "Oh, these people party in pop culture. They know what's up."
We were just crossing our fingers there wasn't going to be a sports round.
Right.
Nothing about
that bar specifically that you guys came to just kind of converted into a sports bar, and they added like 40 TVs. And the owner said, "Hey, can you always start with a sports round?" And I said, "I can, but the people that hang out here will not like it." You know what I mean? It's more of a lot of the there's a DreamWorks office building right around there, so a lot of animation people there. There's Disney right down the street in Burbank, Glendale. So there's a lot of kind of industry and a lot of specifically animation people. So the DuckTales crowd was strong with you guys that night, and not so much the sports crowd. But we'll see how that place adapts to being a sports bar. Now, I do want to go back to you guys eating at Outback Steakhouse real quick. What was your review? Do they have Outback Steakhouses in Australia?
I think there's one somewhere, but not in our state.
Yeah. And did you have a nice bowl of walkabout soup? That's the only thing I remember from the only time I've ever eaten there.
No, that was on the menu. I think that's been removed because that's actually really racist.
Oh yeah, what does that mean? What does the phrase walkabout mean?
It's like an Aboriginal cultural.
It would be like having like a animal spirit soup or something.
Spirit animal soup.
Oh, that's no good. So they took it off. I like that I like that nobody checked and they're like, yeah, just call it the walkabout soup. I mean, I couldn't tell you. Yeah.
Yeah, well, they still had didgeridoos and boomerangs on the walls, and I was like, oh no, they don't know. But the bloomin' onion was good.
Yeah, very Australian dish.
Yeah, super Australian. We served that at my christening.
Unlimited.
Yeah, we had the unlimited shrimp because we were gaming the system because they give you unlimited shrimp for $9 with any entree. So we're let's get the shittiest salad and then just the shrimp we want.
There you go.
And we don't call them shrimp, we call them prawns. But
oh yeah. You know, it's funny. A lot of places in LA do call them prawns. And I always think it sounds like a less attractive version of that. Like the word prawn sounds like kind of gross to me. And I think it's because of how they use it as a slur in the movie District 9. Have you seen that movie?
Yeah.
So whenever I see the word prawn, I think of that movie and how much garbage and what they were trying to portray in that movie. And I'm like, ooh, I don't know if I want prawns, but I love shrimp. You know what I mean? It's so silly.
Is it like a size thing for you guys? Like if they're really big, you call them prawns? I thought it was like a size thing.
It could be. It could be. I know. I mean, the only thing that I could tell you is they call it a big shrimp out here is a jumbo shrimp. That's our big size classification system. It's either a shrimp or a jumbo shrimp.
Which is an oxymoron.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So you guys, I met you in Glendale. How long have you been married?
4 years.
Yeah,
4 years.
4.5.
And how did you meet? Give me the quick story.
I was living with Michael's friend Tom, who is also a comedian. Michael's a comedian.
Oh, great.
And Tom was like, I'm going to go to a comedy thing. Do you want to come? And I'd really never seen any comedy.
Yeah.
And I went there, and Michael was there. Oh, you'll like this because it's all about pop culture.
Oh.
So we arrived at this bar where the comedy was, and Michael walked up to Tom. He's like, hey, Tom, how you going? And Tom was like, this is Sarah. Hey, nice to meet you. And then Michael turns around to Tom and goes, so I thought of this Charlie Chaplin, Kurt Russell buddy pick. It's called Big Trouble in Little Tramp. And I was the only one who laughed.
And that was true love. 4 years later, here we are.
Well, no, that was in 2009.
You're like, that was 34 years ago.
Michael really dragged his feet.
That's amazing. Give me a quick rundown of stand-up in Australia, Michael. How long have you been doing that for?
About 10 years.
Okay, cool. So I guess I'm right around you. I think I'm about maybe 11 or 12. I started in Chicago, moved out to LA 5 years ago. So kind of like a little more than half my time in Chicago and the other half out here. I don't do as much stand-up anymore because you don't get paid to do it if you live anywhere near Los Angeles. And, is it the same thing in Australia? Like, do you feel like 10 years in that you are, like, are you a working comedian? Is that your income?
No, I am not.
It's kind of tough to do.
Yeah, especially in Australia because it's such a small country.
Yeah.
There's very few people who can do just stand-up. I mean, there's a lot of people that do radio and TV and stuff. But, it's hard just to do stand-up. So
that's why go ahead, sir.
There are some rooms that'll pay you, but a lot of them is just for the exposure.
Sure, exactly.
Years worth of exposure.
Like when I moved to LA, so I worked. I started doing stand up in 2006, and around the Midwest, Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, Ohio, Indiana, states like that. I would travel on the weekends. So I used all my vacation and sick time from this full time job I had at a community college to do all these comedy weekends. And it paid, things would pay, but it wasn't a lot of money. It was kind of like hobby money. Like, oh, that's a fun thing I do, and I happen to get paid for it. And then you get to a point where you're like, okay, I got to shit or get off the pot and do this full time or, figure out something else to do. So in 2011, I quit my day job, and I started doing comedy full time. I did it for about a year and a half. And then we moved out to LA, and I was doing okay. Like, I was making roughly the same amount doing comedy as I was at this community college. Except I didn't have any benefits, so I had no health insurance and that kind of stuff. But then I got married, and my wife and I moved out to California. She was from California, and we had this great support system with family and friends and things. So it worked out really good. We've been here 5 years this month. But I learned really early on in that first year, I'm like, oh, you can't make a living being a comedian in LA. Like, you can travel on the road and come back to LA, but you can't really make a ton of money. And that's kind of when I started the trivia nights. I had done a few of them in Chicago for extra money. But when I first moved to LA, I'm like, oh, this could be a good source of income. And I really, kind of grew from a couple locations to over a dozen now. So it's a really cool thing. But like you're saying in Australia, you probably have to really find a niche to kind of be a performer that's getting paid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and there are a lot of comedians in Melbourne who run comedy nights as well. Yeah. So I guess that's it's a nice way to supplement your income when you're a comedian.
There you go. So tell me a little bit about your show is called, the name of the podcast is It's a Duck Blur, right?
Mm-hmm.
Very good. And season 1 was all about Ducktales. Now, what's season 2 all about?
Darkwing Duck.
Okay, which is a spin-off, but not... in the night. Yeah, no, it's a spin-off, but not really a spin-off. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's spun off sort of, but not really, from this episode of DuckTales, Double O Duck.
Okay.
Which is an episode where Launchpad goes undercover as like a
James
Bond type.
Gotcha.
But yeah, the Darkwing is really nothing like that episode, so
gotcha.
It's really spun off in the loosest sense of the word.
Now, before we move on, I do have, we're going to dive into 20 questions on DuckTales. So I specifically, I asked you guys, I said, do you want to do like 10 on DuckTales, 10 on Darkwing Duck? And you said, well, we've watched all the DuckTales, but we're just getting started with Darkwing Duck, fresh in our heads.
Yeah, exactly.
So we're going to stick with just DuckTales, and we'll dive into those, much like Scrooge dives into his fortune in just a second. But I do want to talk about some other stuff that you're into. So really quickly, are you digging the new DuckTales, the reboot of the series in 2017?
Yeah, we love it. Well,
we legally have to love it because we're friends with everybody there.
There you go. Oh, and
actually love it.
When I talked to you in Glendale that night at the trivia night, you guys were getting ready to go on a tour of the studio that currently makes it for Disney XD?
Yeah. Frank Angones, the executive producer and one of the head writers, or he is the head writer and he's one of the executive producers.
That's right.
Get confused.
Right.
He tweeted at us at one point a couple years ago saying that he liked our show, and it's He's come on our show a couple of times, and when he heard we were coming to the States, he was like, hit me up, and yeah, so we went there. It was really amazing.
We learned a whole bunch of spoilers that we're not allowed to reveal.
Yeah, I know. He was like, if you tell anyone...
Multiple seasons worth of spoilers.
Oh, man, they gave you the whole arc. That's cool. I had a very similar experience at Cartoon Network Studios in Burbank, California, like, just maybe a mile or two from where you guys met me at that bar. The Cartoon Network headquarters is located, and I got to go on a tour through a friend of the Adventure Time, like the whole fourth floor or whatever. It was awesome. all Adventure Time, and I would call myself a diehard Adventure Time fan. I was actually on the road, probably 2011, and I was watching a TV in my hotel room at some crappy gig in Minnesota or something, and the episode of Adventure Time came on called Slow Love, where it's about a giant snail or slug that's trying to date, and Finn and Jake.
I remember that.
Finn and Jake kind of help him out and find him like a slug woman, and I was like, what the hell is this show? And it was only 11 minutes, but I felt totally enthralled by it. So I kind of became obsessed with that, and I got into toy collecting around that time as an adult for the first time, I guess. So I was probably 25, maybe 26, and I was like, I should start collecting toys like I did when I was a kid and not open them and keep them on a shelf. So I bought like every Adventure Time thing that came out, and then the show kind of surpassed me where I haven't even seen like the whole second half of the series, but I was obsessed with it for a while. And going on that tour, man, you get to see all this cool stuff. Like you said, I get to see storyboards for like I think it was like a claymation episode or maybe a Lego episode that I don't know if it ever aired. It was just like all these really cool concepts, and I was like, this is so cool. And that was all from my friend Dick Grunert, who doesn't work on the show anymore, but shout out to Dick Grunert. So what was the process like once you guys got there? Did you hang out all day for an hour? Did you kind of get to meet everybody that works on the show?
No, we just worked there for a couple of hours. In like my absolute like top daydream fantasy would be like that we'd walk in and he'd be like, and here's Lin-Manuel Miranda, and then I'd cry.
Yeah.
But yeah, there wasn't anyone like that there. But it's really amazing just being in a workplace that for creative people.
Yeah.
Because Michael and I are both quite creative, but it's not our jobs. It's that's like
the least creative people in the world.
Yeah, Michael works in a news agent, and I work I'm a complaints officer. So, it's really cool just to see what it's like to be someone who has a creative job. There's like sketches all over the walls, and people have like nameplates on their desk that are decorated with like other Disney characters. And when you come in, there's TVs playing like Mickey shorts, and it just was really awesome. And everyone was so nice, and it was really surreal because a couple times there'd be someone walking past and Frank would grab them and he'd be like, oh, this is Michael and Sarah from Duck Blur. And they'd be like, oh my God, we love your show. It's so great to meet you. And we'd be like, oh my God.
Isn't that great? What a great feeling.
It's just like, we're trash. Why are you excited to meet us? You work for Disney. Well,
you know what you guys did? You created, again, a niche. You created a thing that people really, that like that thing, they relate to. And people that work on that show are the biggest fans of that show if they're going to work on it. So, they became fans of you because of your fandom for them. And it just kind of is this great back and forth. And it's hard to do. It's hard to find a way to kind of pave yourself into indie industry, but you guys seem to be doing it really well. So congratulations.
Yeah, it was funny because when we were thinking about we wanted to do something creative together. And Michael's like, I was thinking of doing a podcast for either every episode of DuckTales or every episode of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And I'm like, I'm not watching Ninja Turtles. No way.
Sure.
So,
yeah. And there is a ungodly amount of that right now where people pick a show and they do, like I have a friend named Emilio who did a thing called the Central Perk Cast, and it was every episode of Friends. And then there was the show about nothing, and that's the Seinfeld one. So it's like there's always going to be the mainstream ones, but if you can find and do well and execute on something like a DuckTales or a Darkwing Duck or a Power Rangers or something that's kind of like forgotten but not that forgotten, and do it the best to your ability and be the best version of that thing, you can really prosper. I mean, if you search trivia podcasts, there's not really that many trivia-based podcasts on iTunes that update that post a new episode every week, which I found early on. I was kind of, people would ask me for a while as a comedian, like, when are you starting your podcast? And I used to do one where it was like me and a friend just BSing with other comedians in Chicago, and it was called Joking Off. And it was like, we did like 30 episodes and then I moved and that was it. But it's like, I didn't want to do another podcast till I had a reason to do it. And when I really started doing the trivia thing, I'm like, well, maybe I could start a trivia podcast. What would that be like? And what would the format be? And it took me a long time to figure it out. But as soon as I'm like, I think that's what it should be, I started it, and I get a lot of really cool traction from it. And there's a great UK podcast called Pod Quiz that I plug quite a bit. And that's just a British guy named James, and he asks like 20 questions in 4 different topics every week. But as far as I can tell, James has the #1 trivia podcast like in the world, as far as I can tell. I did like a guest round on his show, and my number skyrocketed because everybody were like, oh, like there's another trivia podcast, you know what I mean? I think
Michael actually has a movie trivia podcast, but it's called Pop Quiz Hot Shot.
Ooh.
But the nature of the beast, because the idea is that we have, I'm one of the regular guests.
Okay. And I have 2 comedians.
But I don't know if it's the same in the US, but Australian comedians are famously flaky, so it's really hard to get regular episodes out because, one, it takes forever to write all the questions.
Yeah.
Because I do, maybe 60 questions.
Michael does like 60 questions.
40-minute episode.
Oh my God, that's a lot. Yeah, that's quite a few.
And just getting the people, because we live out in sort of the outer suburbs of Melbourne, so getting people out here, and it's really hard. But yeah, we're looking at trying to bring it back soon.
I love it. If you do, I love movies, so let me hop on board.
Yeah, you should check it out. It's great.
There you go. Here's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna crack my 3rd Stella Artois beer. Ready? Here. Oh, did you hear that?
It's only 11:20.
It's only 11 in the morning. I think we need to have a discussion.
It's 5:20 here, and everybody knows that it's 5 o'clock somewhere. That's the popular country song about drinking and having an alcohol problem. So we're gonna dive into some questions. Last thing I have for you guys is what is some other stuff you're into? It sounds like we obviously know you really love anything DuckTales related, possibly Ninja Turtles related, Darkwing Duck related. What are some other things you guys grew up with? How old do you want to say how old you are, or about the age? Like what is the stuff that you're into besides DuckTales?
I'm 35, so I really like video games and Gremlins 2, the new batch. Okay.
There you go. And how about you, Sarah?
I'm about to turn 30 in a couple days.
Very good. A really happy birthday to you.
Thank you.
I got you. I did get you. I'm shipping you a gross of prawns. That's 144. They are jumbo size. They should be there any day now.
I look forward to that. Yeah. What do I like, Michael? Jeez. I really like Pokemon, the games.
Sure.
I'm a big Pokemon fan. Yeah, I like to play video games too, but definitely a different style. Like, I'm very into Pokemon, Harvest Moon, Stardew Valley was a big one for me.
Do you guys own a Nintendo Switch?
We do, yes.
Do you each have your own Switch?
No,
we ain't millionaires.
Well, actually, we won the one we have in a competition.
Thanks to Skittles.
Yeah, we won.
Wait a minute. You won one of those Skittle national contests?
Yeah.
What? Tell me the story.
I just entered on the box because I work at a retail store, so there's plenty of product flowing through with competition. So. And
you woke up one day and the mail came and it said, "Here's your Switch," and what did you do?
Opened it.
That's amazing.
It sounds pretty amazing, but actually, a couple months before that, in a different competition, we won an Xbox One as well. We've won.
Holy Christ! They have Taco Bell was giving away, I think, Xbox Ones.
We saw ads for that. Yeah,
that's what you won.
No. We saw the ads when we were in the States. We saw.
Oh yeah. It was like a winner every 5 minutes, and they have these $5 boxes with an ungodly amount of food and a drink, and I'm like, well, why would I not spend $5 on all that great stuff? And then I'm like, well, I also get to enter the contest. So I would enter through text every time. I probably entered, I think, 4 or 5 in the last few months. I did not win. But I am also the owner of a Nintendo Switch. And are you guys getting Mario Odyssey very soon? It comes out on the 27th here.
I know it comes out just after Sarah's birthday, so I have to wait a little bit to have money.
Oh, my God. You're like, we're getting that in 2031. It's weird. Australia is very different. No, that's great. I can't wait to play that. I just beat SteamWorld Dig 2. Do you guys have that?
I'm playing that. It's great.
One of my favorite games in recent memory. Super. It's not real hard. It's there's just enough to do to spend probably 20 hours on it. I think I've spent about 12 so far, and I have 70% of it unlocked. Really, really recommend that game if you like platformers and exploring and things like that. So very good. We learned some other stuff you guys are into. We're going to dive into some trivia now. I have 20 questions. Usually I have two guests kind of battling against each other. I get 5 topics from each of them, and we kind of talk about why you're into that stuff. And then I pick one of those things, and we battle in those 2 things. But today we're just going to do 20 questions on good old-fashioned Ducktales. So before we get into the questions, I do need a buzz-in word from you guys. What's a 1 or 2 syllable word that kind of works out really well?
What about Scrooge?
I was going to say, what about shrimp?
Shrimp.
Oh, shrimp. I like
All right,
shrimp.
we can say shrimp if you like.
You can buzz in with the word shrimp or prawn. All right, here we go. So your buzz-in word is shrimp or prawn or Scrooge. Any of those 3 will be fine. And we're gonna do 20 questions. Wait for the whole question to be read so people can play along at home. I'm sure there are a lot of other avid DuckTales fans, and if you guys post this on your feed, I'm sure some people will check it out. So 20.
That's really embarrass ourselves.
Yeah,
there we go.
I forgot everything about DuckTales. Episode 100.
Okay,
We'll see how you do. So we got 20 questions on DuckTales. Then we'll do a thing called the combo question where I combine 2 things that you guys like. And then we'll do a thing called categories with buds where we will go around in a circle naming different things from a certain category. I'll tell you what it is when we get to it. And then we'll have you guys plug some stuff, and then we'll get out of here. I'm going to keep score, but it's just for fun. But feel free to get a divorce if one of you wins over the other.
Oh, we will.
Thank you.
Trivia Showdown.
All right, here we go. This is question number 1. DuckTales, we're buzzing in with Scrooge, prawn, or shrimp. Here we go. What year did DuckTales premiere? First question.
Shrimp.
I think I heard Michael a little bit earlier. I know we are across the reservoir, as we mentioned earlier, so I don't know how the connection is, but I think I heard Michael just a little bit earlier.
Yeah.
1987.
It was 87. That's 1 point for Michael. Michael, how old were you in 87? I was 2.
I was 5.
You would have been like a bully to me, I feel like. Like a 5-year-old and a 2-year-old. You just push me down and take my, I don't know, what's the thing? A bomb pop? Did they have bomb pops in Australia? The popsicle that's red, white, and blue? That's more of an American popsicle. What was it?
We call them icy poles, too. We don't call them popsicles.
Icy poles, huh? All right, very good. So you'll be like, we got a, hey, Mom just came back from the store. She brought us a 10-pack icy poles.
Yeah.
Yep.
You're not messing with me? That's a real thing, icy poles?
Oh, that's a real thing. But
I enjoy that. I actually don't know if they're actually called popsicle or if the brand name popsicle started making them the most first, in the U.S. or whatever. As we do this podcast, I want you guys to give me the Australian version of almost everything we talk about. Okay.
All right, sure. It is our favorite thing.
It's my favorite thing too. I'm an English major, so I'm always updating my Rolodex of vocabulary. Here we go. Question number 2. What is Webby's last name? Michael. Vanderquack. That's 2 points for Michael. Vanderquack. That's a pretty good last name. Vanderquack. I feel like that Vanderquack sounds like a soap opera name or something.
You'll never take the farm.
Yeah. Like Amelia Vanderquack, Here we go. Question number 3. What color hats do the Beagle Boys usually wear? That was Sarah.
Green.
They are green. It's 2-1. Sarah is good with her colors. Sarah, are you colorblind by any chance?
I am not colorblind, no.
Then, hey, you'll be great on all the color-related questions. I love it. Do you have a favorite Beagle Boy? I know they all have different names.
I don't, but I have a least favorite Beagle Boy.
Who's that?
Baggy. He's he wears really baggy clothes, but the way they've animated whenever he's in the background of a shot, he just has this really lecherous grin with these half-closed eyes. He looks like a creep all the time so much.
So his name is Baggy Beagle?
Baggy Beagle, yeah.
Baggy Beagle. Stay away from Baggy. Here's question 4. It's 2-1. Michael's winning by 1. Here is number 4. What lucky item is the source of Scrooge McDuck's wealth? Shrimp was, I think, by Michael.
Yeah, it's his lucky dime.
Lucky dime, 3-1. Do you guys have any lucky objects at your house in near Melbourne?
Do we have any lucky
I don't
objects?
think so. But we were given a lucky dime each by
Frank when we were at the studio. They did you see for the D23 the thing they had? You could jump into the pit of money, the pit of coins.
I do believe that I saw something about that. Did you guys get to do that?
No, but he gave us one of the coins each.
Wow!
So we got these plastic coins to bring home, which is really cool.
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, in the writer's room at the studio, they actually have a dime on a little red velvet pillow under a glass cloche.
Yeah.
That's pretty awesome. I am a resident of LA, and they have a thing here called the Ice Cream Museum. And I don't really get what it is. People just keep posting on Instagram that they visited the ice cream museum, and
so
every person posts a picture where they're like up to their chin in sprinkles. So there must be some kind of sprinkle pit that you can jump into.
Sounds so hygienic, but really cool.
I think they are probably plastic sprinkles that are not meant to be eaten, but I bet there are people who bring their kids there that are eating tons of plastic sprinkles. You know what I mean?
By the way, in Australia, we call sprinkles hundreds and thousands.
That is true.
No, wait. Okay, so you go to the ice cream place. You're like, I'll take one scoop of Rocky Road ice cream, please. And they go, what do you want for your toppings? And you said, I'll take hundreds and thousands. And then they sprinkle it up.
Yep.
I love everything about that, and there is no way that I will ever call it a goddamn sprinkle again. Here we go.
Yeah,
I love that. That's great. Number 5. What is Gizmo Duck's civilian name?
Sprinkles.
Shrink.
Okay, first of all, Michael buzzed in with sprinkles, which, as we know, is now out of my lexicon. It is now hundreds and thousands. Is that what it's called?
Yeah, hundreds and thousands.
Sarah, what do you think? What do you think his civilian name was?
Fenton Crackshell.
Fenton Crackshell. Well done. Who do you think? Do you guys know who came up with all the names for the characters? Was it just the writers in general, or was it one person?
I think a lot of them were.
Fenton would have been the purview of Tad Stones, who wrote the original run of Gizmo Duck. So
there you go.
Darkwing have created that name.
Love it. Love everything about it. Here's number 6. We are about a fourth of the way through these questions. Number 6, there was a DuckTales movie called Treasure of the what?
Shrimp.
Sarah.
Lost Lamp.
It is Lost Lamp, and just like that, it's 3-3 in your marriage, still intact. I love it. Very good. The Lost Lamp movie, I think, was in theaters for a short time. Do you guys know? Is that true?
I saw it in theaters, yes. In the Halls Theater. I saw it a long time ago.
Very good. You must have been about 7 years old. Am I right on that?
So, yeah.
That's how I do math. It's very suspicious. Here is number 7. Number 7, the first ever hour of the Disney afternoon consisted of DuckTales and what other show?
Shrimp.
Michael.
Is it the Gummy Bears?
That is incorrect. Sarah, do you have a guess?
Was it Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers?
Sarah, you were close, but you were also 100% right. That is the correct answer. Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers, the first hour ever that they did of the Disney afternoon. It later changed to different things, and then they added the extra hour, so it was 2 hours. But the original Disney afternoon hour, DuckTales in the first half hour, and Chip and Dale Rescue Rangers in the second half hour. Now, you guys are gamers. Did you play the DuckTales games? Did you play the Chip and Dale games?
I didn't play them growing up. The only DuckTales game I played was
Quest for Gold.
For Gold on the Amiga.
Okay.
I loved, but Michael played it.
I played the NES version of DuckTales and Quest for Gold. Yeah, I was all over DuckTales.
I was a big fan. I think they had 2 Chip and Dale games and 2 DuckTale games, but I think the sequels to both were a little bit harder to find. At least in the U.S. They just came out with that Disney afternoon compilation. Did you guys happen to buy that?
Oh, yeah, we got it.
Did.
Very good. Yeah, I have not checked that out yet. I don't know why it's not on the Switch, because I was furious. It's furious the things that are not on the Nintendo Switch, like the new South Park game, which is 100% perfect for the Switch, not on the Switch. That Disney afternoon thing, perfect to pick up on the go, play for a second, not on the Switch. So I don't know why, but some of those great games that are super portable, the super portable playability, not on there. So that's kind of weird.
stuff's going to start coming out on it more.
I think you're right too. I think people are starting. Like I just saw PlayStation, Sony is going to start releasing games on the Switch. Did you see that?
I did not. Wow.
Yeah, I don't know what kind of games, or I think they're probably more independent, quicker games. But Sony's going to be making software for the Switch, which is quite the thing, I think, nowadays.
Well, someone's got to.
Somebody's got to. Yeah, there you go. Here's number 8, everybody, and by everybody I mean you two. What color dress did Mrs. Beakley wear?
Shrimp.
Sarah.
It's like lavender. Purple.
Lavender is correct, or purple. So she's got 5. Michael's got 3. She's up by 2 points. How do you feel about that, Michael?
I've forgotten. I keep forgetting the words.
He's sitting here mouthing shrimp to himself.
Are you guys sitting right next to each other on the same computer?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Kind of paint the picture for your place. What's the? Are you guys in an apartment, in a house? What's your story?
It's in a unit, which is like an apartment, but it's disconnected from. It's
its own little house.
Yeah.
But we've got another house in front of us on the property.
They would call that a bungalow in California. So it's like
it's bigger than a bungalow, but
you think so?
Yeah, it's 2 bedrooms. We've got a lot of toys everywhere.
Yep.
Every time we have our friends who have kids, every time they come over, we just have to do this mass, just like sweep everything into bags and put them away because we've got all the little tchotchkes everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, tchotchke. That's a word that's universal. That's pretty good.
Yeah. I like the word tchotchke.
So here's what I want. I'm going to give you guys 3 things that are in my man cave toy room that I'm in right now, and then you guys give me 3 things in your room just to kind of paint the picture. So in my room right now, I'm a huge wrestling fan, so I have a lot of wrestling stuff. I'm just going to pick one thing. I have a 4-pack of a wrestling set called the 4 Horsemen. Are you guys wrestling fans at all?
Not really.
Okay. So the 4 Horsemen at one time were Ric Flair, who I'm sure you've heard of, Arn Anderson, Barry Windham, and Tully Blanchard. So it's a 4-pack of really articulated figures of the 4 Horsemen. It's called the Hall of Fame 4-pack from Target, and it's actually signed by Ric Flair, who I met about at San Diego Comic-Con over the summer, so about 3 or 4 months ago. That's one thing. My second, we'll go back and forth. So now you guys give me one thing.
Well, we've got the McDonald's Ducktales toys that came out in the early 90s. So with like the nephews on a jet ski, and we've got Webby in a car, and Scrooge.
Yes. They were really good at McDonald's would take a character from something you liked and put it in a vehicle that you've never seen before, and you're like, let's buy it, let's get it. We need those.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There you go.
We've got those.
Okay, I love that. My next thing is Frank Costanza from Seinfeld holding the Festivus pole. This was a Funko toy called Vinyl Idols. They were kind of I don't know if they still make them. They were, they're tall, skinny kind of figures with really big bug eyes.
That.
Yeah, they made 6 Seinfeld ones. They made Dodgeball, the movie Dodgeball. They did, I think, Ghostbusters and maybe Back to the Future. Just
one
to name
of those things does not go.
yeah. Just to name a few. But I have all the Seinfeld ones, so that's one of mine. Frank Costanza holding the pole. What's your next thing?
You go, Michael. You pick a thing.
Oh, what have we got? We have a copy of Encarta 96 prominently displayed.
Okay, Encarta.
That
was the encyclopedia,
CD
right?
That's
encyclopedia,
right.
Yeah. Man, remember when that was a thing? You had to load it up to look up information, and that was still convenient?
Yeah.
That was wild.
Entire encyclopedia on a CD-ROM.
There you go. Can't go wrong with that. And that took those encyclopedia salesmen that went door to door to try and get you to buy all the volumes, put them out of business. My next thing for you guys is I have the Blu-ray complete set of Batman 66. So it's the Batman 60 series on Blu-ray. One of the best looking shows I've ever seen transferred to Blu-ray. It looks like it was made now to look like it's from the 60s. It's so crystal clear. So I really enjoy that. And it came with a script from the first episode and a lot of cool collector's stuff. What's your other thing?
I have an autographed photo of Henry Winkler.
Okay, very good. From what's his, is it just his headshot or from a certain movie or show?
It's he's dressed as the Fonz.
I love it. Very good.
Michael bought it for me.
For your first Christmas present.
I think it was our first Christmas together, even though I don't particularly like Henry Winkler, and Michael's Mike doesn't even believe that it's really signed by him.
It's really signed by him.
But why would he lie? It's not like he's such a he's reached this dizzying height of celebrity that he can't condescend to sign a headshot.
That's a good test for the first Christmas. I like that you did that, Michael. You're like, let's see if she likes this Henry Winkler signature that I drew on myself.
Was that a serious present or was that a joke present?
I think it was a serious present.
Okay.
That's pretty great.
We started a thing where we gave each other a stupid present as well. And the first year we were going out, I gave Michael this movie called Mega Shark versus Giant Octopus.
Sure, by the Asylum makers of Sharknado, which I was also in.
I know, we learned all about that at the trivia night.
You sure did. I never shut up about it. The newest thing I'm in, I don't know if I told you guys that night or not. I forget how long ago it was. It's called Snake Outta Compton, which is a parody of Straight Outta Compton. So look for that this summer. I have the first line in the trailer, which is very exciting.
Wow.
So look for Snake Outta Compton. Very good. I got a really good picture of your guys' as you call it, unit, and you got a little picture of mine. So very, very cool. We're going to dive back into these questions. Here's question number 9 for Ducktales Trivia. Murloc the Magician was voiced by what 80s and 90s film star?
Shrimp. Damn it.
Michael.
Christopher Lloyd,
old Doc Brown himself, and that makes it 4-5. Sarah's still winning by 1. We'll see how the rest of this thing goes. Here's question number 10. Tootsie was the name of what kind of creature?
Shrimp.
Sarah.
Triceratops,
the dinosaur that comes back in time from the prehistoric episode. Very good. Tootsie. Who else comes back on that episode? Bubba. Were you guys fans of Bubba? I think as a kid, I did not like Bubba.
Bubba is shit.
I think as a kid, I don't think I realized then why I didn't like certain characters, but I realize now when the character was so dumb that they were trying to make it dumber. I think as a kid I was like, what is the point of this? But I didn't understand it yet. And as an adult now, I'm like, oh, that's just a waste of time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. They're like, do they really think that kids are really going to relate to a character that's talks like, ugh, I am a caveman, ugh. You know what I mean?
But also can rap.
Yeah. Classic Bubba. Here's number 11, everybody. The Beagle Babes consisted of Beaufont Beagle, Boom Boom Beagle, and who else?
Oh,
Shrimp.
Damn.
Sarah.
Oh crap. It's Boom Boom and sorry, what was the first one you said?
Beaufont.
Is it Baby Beagle?
I'm going to give it to you. It's Baby Doll Beagle.
She's dressed up like Joan Crawford from Whatever Happened to Baby Jane.
Oh, very weird. This is almost like a Spice Girl situation where they gotta name the different spices, you know? Beaufont Spice, Boom Boom Spice, and Baby Doll Spice. Here's question number 12. According to the first line of the theme song, what is life like?
Shrimp.
Michael?
A hurricane?
It is like a hurricane. Do you guys ever, do they have hurricanes where you live?
Call them, what do we call them? Cyclones? No.
Hurricane.
Hurricane, yeah. No, we don't.
No, the hurricanes are mostly up in Queensland.
And then never.
And then never.
Rarely.
Yeah,
very rarely.
Very good.
But they're not coming.
Do they have Do they have an alcoholic drink there called a hurricane?
No.
No? I think you can I don't think I've ever had a hurricane in my life, but I know that it is some sort of alcoholic cocktail or mix up of some kind of hurricane.
I've seen it in New Orleans.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Taste.
I would like a hurricane filled with hundreds and thousands, which means, of course, sprinkles. Here is question number 12. Sorry, that was number 12. That was the hurricane question. Number 13, the design logo for DuckTales is based on the logo of what other franchise?
Shrimp.
Sarah?
Indiana Jones.
Indiana Jones is correct. It's almost like I read a wiki fan page and just kind of picked and chose information. What do you think?
I would never accuse you of such a thing.
It's 8-5. Close game still. Michael could come back, and there's a couple other rounds of fun things that are worth more points. So we'll see what happens. Here's question number 14. Who becomes a vigilante known as the Masked Mallard?
Shrimp.
Michael.
I kind of buzzed in early, but I'll take it. Scrooge McDuck.
Scrooge McDuck, the masked mailer. Now, I had a Google search image that one. He looks pretty ripped.
Oh, man, that was one of, like, my top 5 episodes. That was a really good episode.
It was Batman Begins before Batman Begins came out, right?
Pretty much. Yeah, I would definitely recommend you check that one out. That was a good episode of DuckTales.
I can't wait. Here's question number 15 on Twitter. Do you guys have 821 followers, 853 followers, or 884 followers?
Shrimp.
Michael.
I have no idea. The second one.
The second one was 853, and that was incorrect. Sarah, do you have 821 or 884 followers?
21? 821?
No, it's incorrect. You guys really underestimated yourselves. 884 followers, no points. The first question with no points. And it was on your own followers.
Sorry, guys.
That's all right. You guys got a good following going, and it's growing every day. If you like DuckTales, definitely check out It's a Duck Blur podcast. Here's question number 16. Which Scrooge villain is named after a condiment?
What?
I guess it could be also an adjective for a condiment. But I guess, I don't know, here I've heard people say, like, I want this thing on my sandwich as well. So, what do you think? Someone's name in the mythology of DuckTales?
Is that a condiment?
What was it?
Gold. I cannot think.
I'll give you guys a hint. It has something to do with the Lost Lamp, I believe. I think this character is in the Lost Lamp. Yep.
Dijon.
Oh no, you didn't even get called.
So Sarah got the buzz in first, but Michael said it, so I'm giving you each 1 point. All right.
Hey.
There you go. So now it is 9 for Sarah. Michael has 7. It was Dijon. Here's question number 17. Which character is often seen wearing a Junior Woodchuck's uniform?
Damn it.
Sarah.
That would be Doofus Drake.
Doofus Drake, and that is her 10th point. She's got 10 points to Michael's 7. Let's see what happens on the next few questions. Number 8, what does Scrooge call his giant vault where he stores his swimmable fortune?
Shrimp.
That was about the same time. Michael.
It's the money bin.
The money bin. Do you guys have a money bin at your place? Do you have like a little extra storage?
Not yet.
Keep that Patreon money coming.
Yeah, Patreon. We'll get to your plugs about Patreon in just a little while. Here is question number 19. We got 2 questions left. What is the relation of Magica's raven to herself? Sarah?
It's her brother.
Her brother, that's right. It's 11 to 8. 11 to 8. And last question, number 20. What city does the gang live in and most of the show take place in?
Shrimp.
Michael. Duckburg. Nice, easy one to end it with. That is 9 points for Michael. That is 12 points for Sarah. 12 to 9. So it's a 3-point game. Let's see who's going to win this thing. How'd you guys feel about the first 20 questions?
Good. Pretty good.
Very good.
I'm glad. I don't feel like I embarrassed myself.
Yeah, that's true.
Perfect. There you go.
Got this on. That's fine.
Love it. Yeah, you guys did pretty good. Pretty even match for a couple of co-hosts about a podcast about DuckTales.
Combo question.
We're going to dive into a thing called the combo question. Now, this combines both Season 1 and Season 2 of your show. So it's going to be about Darkwing Duck and DuckTales. I think you'll know it right away, but let's see who can buzz in first. Buzzing in with the word shrimp, prawn, or Scrooge. For 2 points, despite not being classified as a true spinoff of DuckTales, what character is featured in both DuckTales and Darkwing Duck?
Shrimp.
Sarah.
Buzzed in a, what?
Launchpad.
Launchpad is what I was looking for, and that is 2 more points, so that makes it 14 to 9. Now, Michael, we have one last thing to do that you can win. It is not DuckTales related. What we're going to do, it's called Categories with Buds.
Categories with Buds.
And this week's category is 90s cartoons. So it has to be a cartoon series. So we'll say a series of cartoons, not a movie, that came out in the 90s that is not DuckTales or Darkwing Duck. and I'll kick it off with one, and then we'll kind of go around in a circle. We'll go from me to Sarah to Michael and then back to me. If you can think of one, you're still in. If you can't think of one in 3 seconds, you're eliminated, and the last person standing will get 3 points. So, Michael, you can get a little bit of bragging rights back by just losing by a few points, as opposed to Sarah, who has put the clamp on you and won this thing. But let's see what you do. I'm going to kick it off with another Disney afternoon show that we mentioned, Chip 'n Dale's Rescue Rangers. What do you got, Sarah?
Animaniacs.
Okay, perfect.
Let's keep it to Disney afternoon. Let's go Marsupilami.
I was
Marsupilami. Wow, that's pretty good. I'm going to say Pepper Ann.
Doug.
Chip 'n Dale Rescue Rangers.
He said that.
Oh, did he?
Oh, no, Michael, unfortunately, you've been eliminated.
Oh, no.
So now it's down to me and Sarah. Sarah, it's a one-on-one.
Dropping the mic.
I'm going to say Real Monsters.
Ooh, Rugrats, then.
Hey Arnold.
Bonkers.
Goof Troop.
Ooh, shivers.
You're gone. You're gone,
Aladdin.
Aladdin, the series. Yep, that's right. I will do a series about a cartoon called Thundercats.
Oh, man. The Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles. I will say Pinky and the Brain.
Freakazoid.
Tiny Toon Adventures.
Oh, crap. I'm like looking around at all my pop culture toys like, what else? What else?
2 seconds.
Yeah.
Got nothing.
Eliminated. I'm going to end things with the very last cartoon of the 90s, and it's Samurai Pizza Cats.
Samurai Pizza Cats.
So I won, and I'm awarding the 3 points that I would have won. I'm awarding to Michael to give him his dignity back. So let's see. That's 1, 2, 3. So that's 12 for Michael and 14 for Sarah. She won by 2 points. How do you guys feel after going through the gauntlet?
I feel pretty good. Oh.
Michael's gypped and Sarah feels good. So that's a healthy marriage, I think. And that is all the questions. How'd you guys? Did you like the show?
Yeah, it was great.
Very good. Thank you so much for stopping by from across the ocean from Australia. My first Australian podcast over Skype. Thank you guys so much. Where can people find you guys online? What's the best place to interact or to download the show?
So we're on iTunes, we're on Stitcher, we're on Google.
We have a website, it'saduckblur.com, that's got pretty much everything.
Yep, on Twitter at it'saduckblur. Yeah, that's pretty much it.
Very good. And you have a Patreon. If people like the show and you appreciate it and you want to kind of kick back a few bucks to it, maybe you put $1 a month, maybe you put $5 a month, whatever you got to spare. Where can people find you on Patreon?
I think it's
patreon.com/it'saduckblur.
Yeah.
It's a duck blur. Michael, Sarah, you guys have been an absolute treat. Any last words before you take off?
No, thanks for having us. It's been great.
This was awesome. I appreciate you guys taking the time. Yeah. I'll be hosting trivia at the Sydney Opera House next week, so just look for me there.
I'll fly down.
Next time, whenever we meet again, though, I will tell you this. We're going to have hundreds and thousands. Thank you guys so much. Have a good day and have a great rest of your Sunday.
Yeah, you too. See you later.
Later, guys. Is another classic battle on the Trivia with Buds podcast. Who were you rooting for? Were you rooting for Michael? Were you rooting for Sarah? I bet it was one of them. Or maybe you were rooting for me on my big birthday. Oh, thanks so much. That was nice of you. Check out the It's a Duck Blur podcast. If you like anything related to Darkwing Duck or DuckTales, or you're a 90s kid or a late 80s kid, you're going to love that show. And they have a huge fan base. They're really growing. And as you can see, they're getting invited to tour the studios for the modern DuckTales making. So that's very cool. Thank you, Michael. Thank you, Sarah, for taking the time out of your busy lives to do the podcast. If you have a podcast that you'd like me to be on. I would love to do it. Maybe you're just getting started with something. You want to try and get some listeners. Maybe you, need some tips on how to start a podcast. I would love to help you out in any way that I can. Drop me a line at ryanbudds@gmail.com or go to triviawithbuds.com and hit the contact tab and send me a message on that little form. If you have something we can do over Skype, that's always the easiest. Or if you live in the LA area, I could probably meet up with you on a weekday or weekend during the day. If you live in the Newport Beach area, I'll be starting a new trivia night this Wednesday. It's at the Newport Beach Brewing Company. They have a really good deal where you get like a pizza and a big pitcher of craft beer for $20, which is very, very inexpensive for that area. And I'll be starting trivia there. It's 8 to 10 p.m., and it'll be every single Wednesday. I'll probably be there for the first 2 or 3 weeks or so, and then hopefully we'll be kind of handing that off to another comedian friend of mine that lives in that area. It is a little bit far from my house. But that's where I'm at right now, Newport Beach. Check that out on Wednesdays, and you can see all my different locations. I'm at 10 different weekly places, and a few more on the bi-weekly and even more on the monthly. And you can see all those again at triviawithbuds.com. I'm getting ready to go full time with this trivia thing. So if you have something coming up, if you have a special event coming up, hit me up. I would love to do it. If you know somebody that owns a bar that you think could benefit from a trivia night, I would love to be the guy they go with. And I would greatly appreciate any referrals that you feel like sending my way. That's about it for this episode of the Trivia with Buds podcast. If you had a good time, tell a friend about it, rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. And if you've been to a live event, find me on Yelp, leave me a review on there. Much love to all the listeners of this show. And again, thanks for spreading the word. That's it. I'll see you next week with some more trivia fun. And if you have a birthday in November, happy birthday, fellow Scorpio. I feel ya. We sting, but in a good way. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.